Welcome and thanks for joining us for another episode of Code Girls on Air, a podcast exploring all things technology, female leadership, careers, education, and topics within the nonprofit sector. On this episode, we interviewed Amanda Holliday, who is a marketing consultant. So join Amanda and me to hear more about her story. Welcome, Amanda. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, do you think you could start by just introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about your background and your career?
Yeah, so I'm Amanda Holliday, and I am the founder and owner of 2L's Marketing. So I specialize in digital marketing, strategy, social media, email, websites, and I have been in digital marketing my entire career. And so I've seen a lot change, and I work directly with clients to help them and their businesses and organizations reach more people and just grow their businesses. So
Wonderful. So did you always want to go into marketing, or was that kind of a thing
I
you found?
did always want to go into marketing, but the way that happened was not what I had originally anticipated. So I wanted to be a fashion buyer,
Okay.
shop for a living, as a lot of young teenage girls would love to do.
No, that'd be a blast.
Get paid to shop. And someone had told me, well, if that's what you want to do, you should go into marketing. So I'm one of the few who declared my major when I applied for college, and still over 20 years later am in that career.
That same original major you chose?
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. And so when did you went to school? Where did you go to school?
I went to school at the University of Colorado.
Oh, okay, nice.
In Boulder, so go Buffs.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I was in the Leeds School of Business there and majored in marketing and business administration and minored in international business and Italian.
Oh, wow.
So I don't use either of those very much anymore, but
you learned them.
Yeah.
So what brought you to Montana with that?
So I've been in Montana for 11 years,
Okay.
and my husband is in the food industry, so he had the opportunity to help open a restaurant in Montana, and so that brought us out here. I was already working remote before it became a thing everybody did, and so it was an easy yes to just give it a shot and come out
easy
here.
shift.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. What were some of the challenges you faced when you were beginning in your career, and how did you kind of overcome those?
Yeah, so when I started my career, digital marketing was a completely foreign thing. We were kind of not too far after Y2K, so it was almost, the internet was kind of a scary thing for people. And so the challenges were really convincing clients about the importance of going digital and the power of technology and the internet to reach more people, and talking them into how that would impact their business.
No, for sure. I can see how that'd be tricky, convincing them that it's actually the real deal.
Yeah.
So what were some of the most helpful resources you had when you were kind of starting out?
Yeah, I mean, when I started, you can't underestimate the power of personal connections, even in a digital world. And so those personal connections and leaning on networking and to connect with people, because there was a lot less. I went old school with the research that I did, really looking at articles, and Google searches were much more limited than they are now.
Yeah.
But just really that power of human connection and connecting that with understanding the psychology behind marketing as well, and understanding people. And I still leverage that today because so much of it is about human behavior, and how people interact with technology is really important too. It's not just a tool, right? It's really a connection device.
It is. Were you always into psychology and kind of seeing how the human brain works, or has that kind of shifted in your career?
It's definitely shifted. I didn't study psychology, but I remember even in advertising classes that learning about the way people scan websites or the psychology behind colors in marketing or branding and how impactful that is.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to think about and to design and strategize things with that in mind.
Yeah.
And to know that things that you build and create can impact people in that bigger way is really impactful.
Yeah.
So.
For sure. We teach our little girls, we have the coding section of our program where they build the app, but then they also build a business plan as well.
Yeah.
To present that at our app competition. And part of that is they design a logo and we teach them about colors and, because some of them are like, oh, all these colors, la 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 la. I'm like, well, okay.
Right. There's a lot that goes into it. And then you start to see things differently too when you experience that. You're like, I know why they did that color or that font.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love it. I geek out on it for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's fun to see the little girls get a hold of that and be like, well, no, let's do it this way.
Yeah.
So you said you work remote now. What does a day in your life kind of look like nowadays?
Yeah. A day in the life is all over the place. I am a mom as well as a business owner. So I try really hard to not start working until spending a little time with my son and my husband and having coffee. My day always starts with coffee. And then I, get my son taken care of and off to school or camp or wherever he's going. And then I dive in to work. And so my day looks like meeting with clients and talking strategy with them and helping them grow their business. And then also a lot of working on my business, content creation. I spend a lot of time on social media. It is my job, but sometimes I wish I could disconnect a little bit more, but it's kind of the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
And so a lot of time on Zoom with clients and connecting with them and helping them strategize around their marketing and content and creating content and
Wow. Is it tricky kind of balancing your helping others but also running your own business? Is that kind of tricky to do?
It is tricky, and I've gotten really good or better, not really good. It's always a learning process, but at boundaries.
Yeah.
And the world we live in, people can get a hold of us all the time. So I definitely balance. I only do meetings with clients on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays.
Okay.
So I leave Mondays and Fridays to kind of get organized for the week on Mondays. And then on Fridays, I spend a lot of time working on my business.
Okay.
Because when I'm really in other people's businesses, it's all consuming.
Oh, I'm sure.
And so it's nice to have that breathing room. And there's always exceptions, but I try really hard to maintain those and then focus on clients in the middle of the week.
Well, and then you have a family too. How old is your son?
My son is 9, so he'll be in 4th grade, and he loves designing logos and graphic design. So it's fun to see him kind of get a little taste of what I do.
What mom does for work. Yeah. So what's your favorite part about working as a consultant or as a business owner?
I love working one-on-one with my clients and seeing them have those aha moments because I used to work in advertising agencies. That's how I started my career. And the reason I shifted to my own business is because I really just loved working with clients. And so all that other stuff wasn't doing it for me. And so I get to just really connect with them, get to know them, and see them grow as business owners and see their business grow. And I love just that, empowering them with the tools and resources and information they need to confidently market their business and, help them along the way. So it's just great to see them get more confident in that and excited about marketing, because a lot of times it's overwhelming and can be frustrating for them because there's so much. And so to really help them focus and hone in on what matters to them and their business and see them run with it.
Yeah. And so how long have you had your business, your own business? When did you
For
start
13 years.
Oh, okay. So you had that going before you moved up here.
I did. Yep. And that's what made it easy to move to Montana, because I could bring my clients anywhere. And that's the beautiful thing about technology and
our digital world
is I have clients that have been my clients for 7, 8, 9 years.
Wow.
We've never actually met in person, but we feel like we know each other.
Right.
And
You do at that point too.
yeah. So it's definitely a powerful thing when we use it the right way.
Yeah, no, definitely. And so you've been in this industry a long time. Can you tell us about how you've seen it kind of change over the years to be in the same industry this long?
Yeah. So, I mean, how have I not seen it change? When I started in digital marketing, Twitter didn't exist, Instagram didn't exist, Facebook, we were still just college students were using it as a way to say, Amanda is, and you fill in the blank. That's you don't remember those days, but it wasn't used for business. There were no business pages. So it was really about, this shift. And one thing I love about this industry is how much it changes. I consider myself a lifelong learner, and I love that things change all of the time, and being able to translate that for clients. One of my favorite stories is one of my first projects in this industry was to convince a really large home builder to shift some of their budget away from print newspaper ads to build a website.
Oh, I'm sure.
And they thought people will never search for homes on the internet. That was their perspective. Yeah. It was people would get the Sunday paper and they would look for ads and they would drive around looking for sale signs. That was how people searched for homes. And, now people buy homes online, sight unseen. And so I had that same experience in the auto industry and the home building industry. People will never search for cars online. Yeah. And so, now we have car vending machines. It's literally, we're living in the future, right? And it's changing so quickly. And for a lot of people, that's overwhelming. And so I love to be able to take that overwhelm away and break down what all these changes mean for them, the ones that matter for them, because, it can be overwhelming if you're focused on everything and trying to consume it all. So being able to take all that in, learn it all, and then just tell clients what they need.
What you need. Yeah. Well, and it's so, you talked about buying houses online. That's what my family did. We were in Colorado, and then we bought our house, moved up here. My dad had come and visited it, but me, my mom, and my sister had never seen it before. Yeah. So it was all a new surprise.
You probably saw pictures online.
We saw pictures, and we're like, I wonder what it's like. So with different things you have to market, I'm assuming there's different platforms that you use for different fields. Can you talk a little bit more kind of about the boundaries between those?
Yeah. So I always tell clients you do not need to be on every platform, personally or professionally. And so it's really, again, it comes down to that a lot about knowing, the business, the industry, who customers are, and focusing on platforms that the people you're trying to reach are on and using, and also thinking about how they're using them, right? Because you think there's billions of people on these platforms. And so, yes, your customer might be on TikTok, but are they using TikTok looking for you?
Right.
Or are they? Yeah, probably not, right? So it's about also not just where they are, but what they're using the platforms for, and making sure that those align with your goals and your business and what you're trying to achieve. I always start with strategy as my love language when it comes to business and marketing. So everything should have a purpose, right? We're not just trying to check a box of showing up and posting something or creating content, but what's the purpose behind it? And is it helping to support and serve your overall goals of your business or your organization? So it's important to take all of those things into account.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so you talked a little bit about trying to convince people to use social media. Have you had, in different areas of the country, obviously Montana, we're not super high tech here, but you have clients outside of Montana. How have you had to overcome kind of challenges based on their location? Or have you not seen much of that?
Not too much of that location based. I have a lot of clients in California, a lot kind of in the Bay Area, so Silicon Valley, tech places. And so a lot of that really comes into who their audience is. And if their audience is really tech savvy, right, playing into that. So again, it comes down to the goals and who you're talking to.
Yeah.
So making sure that, you want your marketing, your messaging to be relatable to who you're trying to reach. So if you just get super techie in how you're talking to people and that's not who your audience is, then it's not going to resonate with them.
Right.
And so there's no point to it. So really understanding that, and that's again where a lot of that psychology comes into, what is going to connect with them, because that's what drives action, right? Is connection. So whether it's, your logo connecting with someone or your brand name or your tagline or your marketing messaging, it has to speak to the right people. And that doesn't mean it has to speak to everybody.
Yeah.
Also, there's a saying that if you attract everyone, you're really speaking to no one. And it's very true. So
yeah. So you've worked with a ton of different clients. Have you had a favorite project that you've worked on or something you've personally been most attached to?
Well, I love working on my own business.
Of course, yeah.
I'm really, it's fun to create that content because I have complete freedom. I can do what I want. If I want to change, things, I can if I want to. But I work with a lot of clients who are in the service industry, in the mental health industry, in the health industry. And so helping them help more people is always really impactful for me. Working with nonprofit organizations is always impactful because I feel like I'm using what I'm good at, my superpowers, to help people, more people.
Helping the community.
That feels good. I think a lot of times marketing and advertising can get a bad rap. It's like, so I like to use it for good. So,
that's awesome. Yeah. So do you have any, in your opinion, I guess, what's the most important strength or personality trait somebody would need to have to be successful in your job?
I think always being willing and eager to learn is huge. And I think that's for any career, but really always wanting to expand your knowledge, try new things, be flexible, adaptable, because things are always changing and you have to be okay with that. And a lot of people are resistant to change. And so if that's the case, that's not really a good fit for this. But just being flexible, adaptable, and just wanting to work with people. Being in the service industry and serving clients can be a lot sometimes because you feel like you're just always giving, but it's kind of part of the thing. But the most important thing is just always learning and always willing to adapt.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Do you have any kind of closing thoughts before we wrap up here?
No, I just think, this is great what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
I'm so happy to be a guest on the podcast.
We're so happy to have you.
See how you guys are growing and just girl power. I love that. So, I'm just happy to be here.
Well, thank you so much. This was incredible.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode. Next week on Code Girls on Air.
Traditionally, mining hasn't been an area where people are really aware of mental wellness, mental health, things like that. So I really like to bring that perspective into mining, and then also diversity and inclusion, bringing women in. So that's really important to me. I try to kind of drive that point to wherever I am.